Joe Biden, on the wrong side of this one, is struggling significantly with his base for a whole variety of reasons. A whole variety of reasons, from the border, as you well know, to, well, just the pure reality of his age and the concern that many people feel for him because they think he's in over his head and maybe suffering from beginning stages of perhaps dementia. I'm not a doctor, just like I'm not a scientist, right? So, I am giving you full disclosure on those things. But Joe Biden is doing some things that are, in my estimation, at least from an economic standpoint, extremely irresponsible with our economy. He wants to print money. He wants to spend your taxpayer dollars how he sees fit, including by flying illegal migrants to whatever country, or forgive me, whatever county he thinks needs representation. I guess for the census, I mean, I don't know what the thinking is on that one or why he's picking these particular areas and then getting all mad when Texas dares to send some people to New York City. You ought to thank him, right? Oh, you saved me a bill. I didn't have to fly him in the middle of the night. What do you know? Well, Biden's having another sort of epiphany. He needs to get to that base. The youth, they don't really like him. No one really likes him, really. But the youth definitely is really not so inspired by Joe Biden. So what better way to do it than offer another handout? I mean, isn't that just the answer? You just keep offering these groups handouts. Maybe like at some point you'll get some momentum. That's his thinking. So no matter how many times the Supreme Court tells him, no, you're not going to be able to do this on student loans, Biden goes back for another round. Here's the latest and greatest. It's not happening. He's not going to get the money. And if he did, you think college costs are bad now? Just wait until Biden starts handing out another $5,000 per person. This is his plan. He wants $5,000 more going to anyone who has student loans. Take a peek. There you go. During an appearance in Wisconsin, President Biden said 10 million borrowers could seek debt relief of at least $5,000. And this is his idea, ladies and gentlemen, his highly irresponsible idea to rally his base, the youth that can't stand him, that has no use for him, and that probably will not show up to vote for him. He's there in Wisconsin, big swing state, where he's neck and neck with Donald Trump, trying to see if he can get any of those university kids to stick around for a few more years of university. He'll pay for it. Hey, it's on Uncle Joe. Why not? Do we have this sound?
From day one, my administration has been committed to fixing the broken student loan system and making sure higher education is a ticket to the middle class, not a barrier. My administration has approved debt cancellation for 4 million Americans through various actions. And today, I'm announcing new plans that would cancel student debt for millions more. In total, these plans would cancel some or all student debt for 30 million Americans when combined with everything we've done so far. To find out how these plans may impact you, visit studentaid.gov.
I just don't want to see it. I just don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I think Joe Biden has jumped the shark, as Fonzie used to say. Okay, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because when the government puts more money into these things, all it does is inflate the cost of education, right? Because when you have free money, suddenly you don't care what anything costs. And that's what they've done for college kids all over America. They've given them all kinds of loans. They've given them all kinds of handouts. And they've basically said, here you go, here's a blank check. What do you think would happen if you got a blank check and the government said, hey, go purchase any house you want. Any house you want. We're going to go for the biggest, nicest house, whatever. And what is going to happen? The prices on every single house, they're going to go up, up, and away. Well, that's what happened with colleges. Okay, so there's all this demand suddenly because the government made it that attractive. And so when people look at the numbers and they say, why are college costs so much higher? Why is it so much more? Why is it so outpacing everything else, along with healthcare, which is the other industry that outpaces everything else? And the reason is, well, the government's there supporting it. It's government money, so it's not a real market. Kids aren't saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to have to pay this back. Me, on the other hand, when I went to school and I took a little break in between because of the whole opera thing, some of you know about that. Some of you don't, but I was a singer. And so I started in a conservatory, and then I was pursuing this career as an opera singer and made a decision to go back to school. And I'm like, okay, when I went back to school, I was like, this is on me. I have to pay for this. I mean, my heart was in my throat. I was signing on the dotted line for my loans. And I thought, oh my gosh, I better get a really good job. And I worked through school. I was in school. I took my grades very seriously. I remember applying to Goldman Sachs and I had a 3.98 out of 4.0 for my GPA. And the guy I was interviewing with was like, whoa, wow, 3.98. But what I had that a lot of other students didn't have was sort of just this intense pressure of knowing I got to pay this stuff back. And I think a lot of kids, you're young, whatever, your parents are paying or Uncle Joe's paying, and you don't get that you're on the hook for it. Everybody needs to understand you're on the hook. You know what? There's no free lunch. And this little $5,000 whoop-de-doo, all you're going to do is increase college tuition prices by another $5,000. And I don't think you're going to get any more votes out of any of this, Joe. I really don't. People are not going to vote for you just because of this. If anything, they look at it and say, he didn't get it done. He promised this. He promised us. He told us. Remember on the campaign trail, he was going to do this. And yet, not happening. By the way, indulge me. I'm going to be a little bit catty for a second, but can we go back and look at that video, Drew? Because what is going on with his eyebrows, ladies and gentlemen? I told you. You know what? Indulge me. When he lifts them, it's like they don't come back down. So here we're watching. He's talking about, my administration has approved debt cancellation for 4 million Americans. The problem, of course, is that there you go. That's the picture. That's the picture. Can we pause it there, Drew? What is going on with Biden's eyebrows? I ask. Here's the thing. He's trying to get this debt relief for millions of Americans. The Supreme Court's already shut him down. He's like, I'm going back at it. I'm going back at it. Like, you're going to defy the Supreme Court, buddy? I mean, really, come on. And I dare I say that the dermatologist is going a little overboard there, Joe Biden, because those are some high eyebrows. I'm thinking that's a little, a little Botox, maybe just a little. What do I know, right? Anyway, Joe Biden, this is not going to work. You can keep trying. You know what is working? Some amazing dollars that the Trump campaign just raised. I'm going to get to that in a second, but before I do, we talk about the student loans, we talk about inflation, we talk about the problems, right, with the economy right now, and it's very clear to me that we've got some massive, massive challenges from a policy perspective. You know who else it's clear to? My friends over at Jobs Creators Network. I was just talking with Alfredo over the weekend, and Alfredo, he runs this. He's fantastic. And if you haven't seen my interview with him, I encourage you to go back and take a look at that. We were actually talking about the role Hispanics would be taking on in this election cycle, because they're going to just be massive. And this is something the Job Creators Network is very much in tune with. And they have to be, right? Because they're representing small business owners all over America. And small business owners, they're the engine of this great economy. They always have been, and hopefully they always will be. But there are a lot of people that really don't like business owners. And some people that maybe just like the really, really big business owners. That would be the kinds of businesses that can contribute to your campaign. And so I think that Joe Biden has a lot of ends with big business. Big business isn't too happy with him either. A big report on that in the New York Times just the other day, because they don't really like his policy either. But it's small business owners that I think are really disadvantaged or put at a disadvantage in this particular environment, because they don't have the lobbying money of the big businesses, and they definitely don't have the sort of top of agenda kind of stuff that Biden wants to promote, right? Frankly, I'm just going to be very, very candid with you. He seems to be very anti-business, almost socialist, quasi-communist, frankly, at times. Well, join Job Creators Network, because they can help you cut through a lot of this noise. If you're a local business owner and you just kind of want to communicate with other business owners in your community, or if you want to take on a bigger role and speak up for change, these are the guys that can help you do it. Go to joinjcn.com, joinjcn.com. But like I said, they're really looking out for everyone. They're looking out for the values that I think, if you're watching this show, you probably care about too.